All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to talk about a truly historic legal battle in India, the fight to overturn a 158-year-old law from the colonial era, a law that, for all intents and purposes, made love a crime. This is the story of Section 377 and the incredibly long road to decriminalization. And we have to start with this quote from the final verdict. I mean, wow. It just perfectly captures the sheer weight of this decision. This tells you right away, this wasn't just about changing a law. It was about trying to right a massive historical wrong. So, what exactly was this law that cast such a long, dark shadow over so many lives? It was called Section 377. The real power of this law was in how vague it was. See that phrase? Against the order of nature. What does that even mean? Well, for more than a century, that single phrase was used to prosecute, to harass, and to blackmail LGBTQ+ people, turning their very identity into a potential crime. And here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. Section 377 wasn't even an Indian law originally. It was basically a copy-paste job from Britain's old Buggery Act, forced on India during colonial rule. It was a foreign Victorian-era morality that just stuck around long after independence. So because of this law, millions of people had to live in constant fear. Just think about that term for a second. Unapprehended felons. That's how the law saw people like Navtej Singh Johar, a famous artist, and his partner Sunil Mehra. They were legally criminals, just for being in a loving relationship for over 2 decades. It's why they eventually became the lead petitioners in the final challenge. And their petition? Well, it was really the culmination of a fight that went on for decades, a true legal and emotional roller coaster that played out in India's highest courts. And when I say roller coaster, I mean it. In 2009, there was this incredible moment of hope. The Delhi High Court struck the law down. But then, just 4 years later, that hope was completely crushed. The Supreme Court actually reversed the decision, making homosexuality a crime all over again. The community was plunged back into darkness, and the whole fight had to start from scratch. So, why did they reverse it? Well, the court's reasoning was, let's just say it was widely criticized. They argued that because the LGBTQ+ community was a minuscule fraction of the population, their rights weren't a big enough issue for the court. It was a justification that many felt completely ignored the whole point of fundamental rights. So, the situation looked pretty bleak. But then, in 2017, something completely unexpected happened. A totally separate court case came along, and it turned out to be the key that would change everything. That game changer was the Puttaswamy case. In this case, the Supreme Court declared once and for all that every single Indian citizen has a fundamental right to privacy. Now, you might be thinking, what does privacy have to do with this? Well, as it turns out, everything. And here's the connection, the part that ties it all together. The court was super explicit. They said that this new fundamental right to privacy also protects your sexual orientation. It's an essential attribute of privacy. All of a sudden, the legal argument against Section 377 had this powerful new foundation to stand on. So, armed with this brand new precedent, Navtej Singh Johar and the other petitioners took their case right back to the Supreme Court. This was going to be the final historic showdown. And that brings us to the day it all happened, September 6th, 2018. On that day, a 5-judge bench delivered a unanimous verdict that would go down in history. So what did they decide? The court found that Section 377 was a blatant violation of India's most important constitutional rights. It went against the right to equality, the right against discrimination, the freedom of expression, and, of course, the right to life and personal liberty. It was a total constitutional failure. The Chief Justice at the time, Deepak Misra, he put it so clearly. He basically said, look, popular opinion, what he called social morality, can never be an excuse to take away the fundamental rights of even one person. The values of the Constitution, what he called constitutional morality, that has to win, every time. And another justice, D.Y. Chandrachud, he really captured that forward-looking spirit. He acknowledged the terrible harm done in the past, but he made it clear that this verdict was about setting a new, more inclusive, and more just course for the future. Okay, so a huge landmark ruling. But what did it actually do, on the ground? It's really important to be clear about what was decriminalized and what wasn't. The court was really smart about this. Their approach was, well, it was surgical. They didn't just get rid of the entire law. What they did was they very precisely decriminalized consensual romantic acts between adults. The parts of the law that protect people from assaults, that protect minors, and deal with animal cruelty, all of that is still a crime. Because, at the end of the day, this whole fight was never really just about sex. It was about something so much bigger. It was about the right to exist without being afraid. What it all boils down to is this. India's highest court finally, officially affirmed a simple but incredibly profound idea that who you are and who you love is natural, it's a part of you, and it is not a crime. It was a massive victory for the simple, fundamental right of every person to live a life of dignity. But of course, the story doesn't end there. Decriminalization was a huge, essential step, but the journey for full equality isn't over. The legal battle for other rights, like same-sex marriage, is still happening. So it leaves us all with a really critical question. What does the next chapter in this journey for equality look like?